Welcome to the Big Game Record Series. We are doing the Alpine Chamois. So it's from the New Zealand Big Game Record Series, Volume 7. Of course, written by D. Bruce Banwell. So for the Chamois, Bruce has decided to do the Records Club, the New Zealand Deerstalkers Association Chamois Horn Records. The highest score for Chamois horns is Peter Stephen, Drake Valley, August 1972, with a score of 32 1/4. The greatest length of horn, which is the world record, Colin Jeffrey Yeats, Newton Range, Styx River, 1968, 13 1/4 inches, and the greatest girth at base of horn is J.A. Richardson, Arafata Valley, 1962, which is 4 1/4 inches. He writes, choice of the following trophies profiled has been based on a selection of the first few of those specimens scoring the highest on the Douglas scoring system, plus an extension to include the best from a much wider spectrum of the established present-day rangeland between the very north of the South Island hill and alpine areas to as far south as southern Fiordland. As a consequence, as it will be noted, most specimens have been produced by the ranges of Westland and Canterbury, but examples of quality have been profiled to cover the entire domain of the species in the South Island. So, for the New Zealand Deerstalkers Association policy, the list records of all trophies scoring 27 or more on the Douglas scoring system, plus any specimen where both the horns measure 10 inches or more. So if you want to get into the record books, that's what you're looking for out there in the hills. Righto. We're going to start off with that highest scoring Chamois. Peter Stephen, Drake River, Waiatoto Valley, 1972, which is South Westland. This wonderful sample of a Chamois trophy was secured by a shooter while on a meat recovery operation into the Drake Valley, a major tributary of the Waiatoto River catchment. It was taken during the winter months of 1972. According to Brian Conroy, who was the team gutter for the helicopter, Tony Hawker was the pilot, Stephen the shooter, and on that particular day they had secured 222 animals while operating within the confines of the Drake River. The following day there was a strong northeasterly wind blowing which halted operations, but the next day the team took 237 animals, both red deer and chamois. At the time they were averaging 1,000 animals a month and took 7,800 deer and chamois over a period of 6 months, a situation very typical of the undesirable trends existing in population levels at that period of time. This buck was, of course, shot out of the chopper, and it appears, although it was realised at the time the horns were of trophy quality, the fact it would prove to be the New Zealand record for a chamois by Douglas score was not appreciated until later. Conroy told me the mobs of chamois tended to bunch up on the approach of the machine, hiding their heads in the available rocks, their rear ends still poking out. Yet another interesting factor regarding their reaction to helicopter generating hunting pressure. Perhaps not as distressing as the circumstances related to me by the late Waddy Cameron, but nonetheless not an encouraging narrative for the dedicated, ethical sportsman. So yeah, that's the New Zealand record. I think it has been broken of late. So if that is the case, send me a message. I might actually leave I think you can comment on Spotify and of course on YouTube as well. You can leave in the comments if you know if that record has since been broken. The total score was 32 1/4, and that'd be awesome to hear from you. Otherwise, of course, you can reach me on Instagram at SnagRyan or at Ryan O'Connor NZ. And if you're not watching this, you'll be able to see what that trophy looks like. I think it's taken in a freezer. Like, it's a weird shot, the photo. Looks like there's a bag over the skull or something. But yeah. Anyway, next we've got the length, which was shot by Colin G. Yeats, Newton Range, Styx River, 1968. Make sure you subscribe to the Stag Raw podcast. Of course, if you've just sort of come along to this, check out Wild Vision with Oscar Goodman, the latest long form podcast that we just released. And if you're looking for a good read, which is sort of nearby the Waiatoto River Catchment, deer killing in a little bit earlier than 1972, a decade earlier. Get your hands on the book Finding Frank. It is absolutely awesome about the legend that was Frank Ericeg, and also a bunch of the internal affairs and Forest Service hunters around the 1960s. If you're looking for something else to accompany that, if the reading that gets the blood flowing, check out Radio New Zealand. They've done a podcast series of the Deer Wars, which of course is a famous little video as well. And of course they reference in Frank's book, Finding Frank, the Venison Hunters as well. That's a nice little video series that was done of hunters at the time. So yeah, check it out. Leave us a comment, send us a message, tag us, share it onto your page and stuff, share it with friends, and we'll see you for the next one of the Alpine Chamois. Cheers. This is the New Zealand Big Game Record Series, the Alpine Chamois, Volume 7, written and compiled for the New Zealand Deer Stalkers Association Incorporated by D. Bruce Banwell. Published by Halcyon Press, a division of Halcyon Publishing Limited, PO Box 360 Auckland, 1140 New Zealand. Printed by Prolong Press, China. Copyright 2013 D. Bruce Banwell. First published 2013. All rights reserved.